Hey guys, it's Sakar, and today we're going to be going over my Magic and Nightblade build for the Lost Depths chapter. I never thought this day would come. It's been a running joke in my stream that I hate MagBlade because I just think that it has never been good in PvP. I think that there's always been things that are better than it. But now with the recent buffs to Nightblade and the nerfs to every other class, I tried it out and it's actually really good, guys. So I'm really excited to show you this build. I was really enjoying it the last few days. So I hope you guys enjoy too. So without further ado, let's get on with the video. And also, if you're not subscribed to the channel, please do so. We just passed 2,700 subs. I want to get to 3K by the end of the year. Okay, no more talking. Let's get on with the video. Alright guys, first things first, let's look at our character sheet. We're going to be a high elf on this build. I like high elf on this kind of build the most because it gives you the most amount of damage possible. I feel like the sustain is fine, which is why I don't need to go Breton. So I really like using a high elf on this build. It's going to give you a lot of magic damage on this. Our magic is going to have 52 points into it, and our health is going to have 12 points into it, giving us a 31.9k max health pool, and a 28.2k max magic pool, and a 16.5k max stamina pool, which I think is pretty strong overall. Scrolling down, we're going to be using the Serpent, the Stamina Recovery Mundus. The reason why we're using this is because our Magic Recovery is fine, our damage is fine. The only thing that I ever found to be a problem with this build was my Stamina Recovery, so we fixed that, and we're using this Mundus to help counteract that, and now it feels really good. We're going to be using Orzorga Smoked Bear Haunch as our food. It's going to increase our max health by 4,300 and our stamina and magic recovery by 369 for 2 hours. If you can afford this, I always say just use the Jewels of Miserable food. You just lose a little bit of health, and then you can just counteract that. You lose a little bit of magic, just slot those attributes from magic into health to make up for it, and it's easy. It's really not that big of a deal. As always, Vampire Stage 3 to get that Undeath passive so that you take less damage at the less health you have. So Vampire Stage 3, huge, always use that. Our gear, our monster set is going to be Kajolners. I have a medium helmet and a heavy shoulder. It's just the way it broke down for the way I got my shoulder. I don't have a medium shoulder, unless, or I would do a heavy helmet and then a medium shoulder, but it doesn't really matter too much. What Kajolners does is the one piece gives you weapon and spell damage, and then the two piece is every 5 stacks of a light attack. You're going to be putting a little stack on them, and then at the 5 stacks, you're going to be either CCing them or you're going to be doing a lot of damage to them. So that's why I really like this, because you're always light attack weaving with this build. So Kajolners is pretty good, and I really like it a lot. It's a lot of extra damage just to add to this build. So as I said before, medium helmet, heavy shoulder, reinforced. Our chest piece is going to be Serpent's Disdain in heavy with a reinforced trait on it. Serpent's Disdain, I've been using this on a lot of my builds lately. The 2-piece gives you max stamina, 3-piece max health, 4-piece max magic, and the 5-piece increases the duration of status effects you apply by 16 seconds. And that's going to really come in handy later. I'm going to talk about that pretty soon on. Our hands are going to be light Serpent Sustain and Impen. Our waist is going to be light Serpent Sustain and Impen. Feet, light Serpent Sustain in Impen. And our legs are going to be heavy Serpent Sustain in Reinforced. Our jewelry is going to be Sea Serpent's Coil in the Swift trait with a spell damage enchant on it. So what Sea Serpent's does is, while at full health, you gain 40% damage reduction, but once you take damage, you gain Serpent's Rebuke, which is a debuff, which snares you by 40%, which is counteracted by our Triple Swift on our jewelry and our Celerity CP. And then also we're going to be using Race Against Time as our skill, so it's going to really counteract it so that we're really fast. But you also get Major Berserk and Major Courage, so it's going to increase your damage jump by 10%, and it's going to increase your weapon and spell damage by 430, so that's huge. You get a lot of damage from that. Then both of our other rings are going to be trainee rings with all Swift traits with spell damage glyphs on them. And the reason why we're using 2-piece trainees to get that max health and that max magic up as high as possible. Our front bar weapons are going to be Master's Perfected Maces, and our main hand is going to be Nirnhond, our offhand is going to be Charged, and our main hand glyph is going to be Shock as well. And what Master's Perfected Maces do is it's going to give you the 2-piece, is going to give you crit chance, and then the other 2-piece is going to give you extra damage whenever you hit somebody with an initial attack or the bleed or of Twin Slashes. So that is huge. Our back bar is going to be Vatishran Perfected Ice Staff. I really like this a lot. If you don't have the Perfected, it's not necessary on this build because it's using offensive penetration. We're using it on our back bar, so it's really not that necessary. But what it is casting weakness to elements on a target within 15 meters of you causes basically a tether between you and your enemy, and it does damage every second to them. So it is definitely really huge. And then on top of that, we're going to be applying status effects to them too. So it's definitely huge. I'll explain why in a little bit, I promise. As far as our skills go, we're going to be using as one of our main damage sources, Rending Slashes. That's going to come in handy with that Master's Perfected Maces earlier. This is going to give a nice dot on your enemies. Power Extraction, this is going to be your source of Major Brutality and Minor Courage. So you're going to be getting weapon and spell damage increased by 20%. And then also you're going to have, it's huge. And then also, it's also going to be increased by 215 for 30 seconds as well. So you're getting both Major Brutality and Minor Sorcery, and Minor Courage from this. I'm sorry, guys. I don't know the Nightblade buffs too well, so I'm still reading a lot of this. I know it's a good build, and I've gone all over the science behind it. I just kind of forget sometimes. I'm not really that much of a Nightblade player, so yeah. Anyways, Dark Cloak. I know that this heal isn't that great anymore, but I needed another heal on this bar. And you also get minor protection from this, so you become really tanky with this. I definitely recommend using this. Concealed Weapon. This is going to be your main spammable on this build for damage. It is a lot of damage. I like it a lot. Merciless Resolve. This is another one of those things where you have to stack it with light attacks, and on that 5th stack, you get a bow proc. Once you get that, it hits like a truck. I've hit people for anywhere upwards of 15k bows. It is huge. I'm using Incapacitating Strike on my front bar as well. The Incap bow combo is huge. It's so worth it. I really like it. It's just a bunch of extra damage too. It's huge. Our back bar is going to be Siphoning Attacks. This is going to increase your sustain and your healing too, so I really like it. Race Against Time, this is going to be your source of Major Expedition and Minor Force, so it's going to increase your speed, and it's also going to increase your crit damage too, so it's huge. And it's going to be your snare removal, so if you're snared and slowed, use this. Resolving Vigor, this is going to be your best heal over time on this build, and then on top of that, you also get Minor Resolve, so it's going to increase your physical and spell resistance by 3k. Healthy Offering, this is going to be your burst heal on this build. Every build has one, hopefully, and this is yours for this build. This is going to be what you're going to do to get your health as high up as possible without using a heal over time like Resolving Vigor or Dark Cloak. And then Elemental Susceptibility, this is going to be working with your Vatishran Ice Staff. This is going to give you Major Breach on an enemy for 1 minute. And then on top of that, the Serpent's Disdain is going to increase that too. Never mind. Forget I said that part. So this is going to be a Major Breach for 1 minute, reducing your physical and spell resistance by 6k for your enemies. And then every 6 seconds while this ability persists, the enemy is afflicted with a burning, chilled, or concussion status effect. That's what I was talking about with the Serpent's Disdain. The status effects on the second part of the skill are going to be increased with your Serpent's Disdain buff. And then back bar, I use Soul Tether for that also damage ability. I was using Undo, but since I'm using Dark Cloak now, I don't need that minor protection. So I'm using this just as an extra source of AoE damage in case I really need it. And then onto our CP. Our blue slottables, I realized that I kind of messed up because I was redoing all my CP beforehand. So our blue CP is going to look like this. I promise. I messed up earlier before I streamed, and I had to redo all my champion points. I just forgot to add it. So our blue slottables are going to be Fighting Finesse, Force of Nature, Focus Mending, and Mastered Arms. Our red slottables are going to be Survival Instincts, Celerity, Pain's Refuge, and Sustained by Suffering. The only green slottables that matter are Rationer and Liquid Efficiency. But what's really important also, as always, is Breakfall. Definitely use that, get that reduced fall damage passive into. Confirm that. Alright guys, that is the build. I hope you guys enjoyed. I really like this build a lot. I was having a lot of fun on it. I think that MagBlade is actually really viable for once again, and it's crazy for me to say that because I never thought I would ever say that. But guys, I really hope you enjoyed the video. If you want to see this build live in action, you can catch me live at twitch.tv/Shakar, where I stream 5 days a week. And also, if you're not subbed to the channel and if you've gotten this far, I would highly appreciate it if you could. It's free, and I'm trying to get to 3K subs by the end of the year. I hope that we can make it. It would be really cool. We're just passing 2,700 now, so let's see what we can do, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you guys being here, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Later.